For the first time publicly, Matt Armstrong has called out Ferrari, and the timing couldn't be more damning. If you've been following Matt's channel, you know he's been working on one of the most ambitious builds in recent memory, taking a crashed Ferrari 296 GTB and converting it to challenge specification as a road-legal car. It's the kind of project that attracts millions of views because nobody had done it quite like this before. A wrecked supercar, painstakingly rebuilt using Ferrari's own challenge racing components, turned into something that shouldn't exist on public roads, but somehow, legally, could. The build was going brilliantly. Matt had been ordering challenge spec parts through Ferrari's official system, fitting them to the 296, and documenting every step on YouTube. The videos were doing huge numbers. The automotive community was obsessed. And then, without explanation, Ferrari shut the parts pipeline down. The final components Matt needed to complete the conversion, the front bumper, wider fenders, central radiator, and vented bonnet, were suddenly blocked. The same system that had been processing his challenge part orders flagged everything as unauthorized. His car was left in limbo, no longer a standard GTB, but unable to reach full challenge spec either. Incomplete. Stuck. Matt pushed back. He asked questions. He tried to understand why parts that had previously been available were now being refused. He got no satisfying answer. And for a while, the story seemed like it might just end there. Another builder stonewalled by manufacturer bureaucracy, forced to leave a project unfinished. Then Ferrari announced the 296 Challenge Straddle. The 296 Challenge Straddle is Ferrari's factory-built, road-legal interpretation of their 296 Challenge race car. It features the more aggressive aerodynamic package from the racing version, a track-focused performance setup, and full road legality, certified and sold directly by Ferrari. In other words, it is precisely the concept Matt Armstrong had been building independently for months. Same base car. Same challenge aero components. Same philosophy of taking race car specification and making it street legal. The only meaningful difference is that Ferrari's version comes with a factory badge and a factory price tag. Matt posted about it almost immediately after the announcement. His caption was short, but it said everything. Ferrari liked my 296 Challenge road car. They decided to make one themselves. The post spread quickly across the automotive community, and for good reason. Because the question it raises is one Ferrari has not answered. Did they block Matt's parts to protect their own upcoming product launch? To understand why that question matters, you need to look at the timeline carefully. Matt had been publicly documenting this build for months before the parts refusal. The videos weren't obscure, they were pulling millions of views, generating massive engagement, and creating exactly the kind of organic market validation that any manufacturer's marketing team would notice. A real-world demonstration that people wanted a road-legal 296 Challenge. That the concept was desirable. That someone had the skills and determination to actually build one. Ferrari's parts system initially cooperated with that build. Challenge components were ordered through official channels and fulfilled. The conversion progressed. And then, at the point when Matt needed the final pieces to complete the car, the system changed position. No warning. No technical explanation. Just a refusal. Weeks later, Ferrari announced a factory product that is, conceptually, the same car Matt was trying to finish. Now, to be fair, and it's important to be fair here, we don't have confirmation of Ferrari's internal reasoning. It's entirely possible the parts refusal and the straddle announcement are coincidental. Large manufacturers work on development timelines that stretch years in advance. The 296 Challenge straddle wasn't conceived in response to a YouTube build. It was almost certainly in development long before Matt's project began. But that's actually the point. If Ferrari already knew the straddle was coming, if a road-legal challenge conversion was already a planned product, then they had a clear commercial reason to prevent an independent builder from releasing a finished version first. Not because Matt's build was dangerous. Not because the parts were technically unsuitable for road use. But because an independent builder completing this project ahead of the official launch would undermine their market positioning and prove that customers don't necessarily need to pay factory prices for factory results. The parts exist. They're street legal, Ferrari is selling them right now as part of the straddle package. The conversion is technically sound, Ferrari certified it themselves. So the refusal, if it was commercially motivated rather than technical, wasn't about protecting anyone. It was about protecting a product launch. Matt's post makes that accusation directly, and the automotive community has largely taken his side. The reaction has been one of recognition. People who follow the independent builder space understand that this dynamic, manufacturers using parts control to block builds that might compete with upcoming products, isn't new. What's unusual here is how clear the evidence is. The timeline is tight. The products are nearly identical. And the builder involved has the audience and platform to make the accusation land. What makes it even harder for Ferrari is that the straddle's existence validates everything Matt was doing. If the concept were flawed, if a road legal challenge conversion raised genuine safety or engineering concerns, Ferrari wouldn't be selling it. The fact that they are confirms that Matt's approach was sound. He wasn't doing something reckless. He was building something Ferrari themselves believe in enough to productize. That's a difficult position to be in publicly. Either Ferrari blocked the parts for legitimate technical reasons, in which case, why is the factory version road legal? Or they blocked them for commercial reasons, in which case, they used their monopoly over parts supply to eliminate independent competition. There isn't a clean third option. This is the broader context that gives the story real significance beyond one builder's frustration with one manufacturer. Manufacturer control over parts supply has become an increasingly contested area, particularly in Europe. The EU's right to repair regulations, which are being implemented in phases, are specifically designed to limit the ability of manufacturers to restrict access to components in ways that harm independent repair, modification, and competition. The principle is straightforward. If you legally own a product, you should have reasonable access to the parts needed to maintain and modify it, without the manufacturer being able to use parts refusal as a competitive tool. Matt's situation is a precise example of what those regulations are targeting. He legally owns the car. He was using Ferrari's own official parts system. The parts he was trying to order are components Ferrari manufactures and sells in other contexts. The refusal didn't make the parts unavailable in the market. Ferrari is now selling essentially the same specification themselves. It made them unavailable specifically to Matt, at a time when completing his build would have created a public alternative to a product Ferrari was preparing to launch. Whether or not that constitutes a violation of existing regulations is a legal question, and one that would require proper examination of the specific circumstances. But as a case study in why those regulations exist, it's almost impossibly clear. What happens next is genuinely uncertain. Ferrari hasn't responded publicly to Matt's post. They may not. Manufacturers rarely engage directly with individual builder criticism, and Ferrari in particular tends to communicate on its own schedule. It's possible this ends with no official acknowledgement, the straddle launches successfully, and Matt's build remains incomplete, a near miss that becomes a footnote in the story of a car Ferrari eventually made themselves. But it's also possible this story has more legs than Ferrari anticipated. The automotive community's reaction suggests real appetite for accountability here. Matt's channel has the reach to keep this conversation alive. And the right to repair framework gives the criticism a legal and regulatory dimension that's harder to dismiss than general frustration. The most interesting outcome would be Ferrari addressing the timeline directly, explaining, credibly, why the parts refusal happened when it did, and why those same parts are now being sold in factory-certified form. If there's a genuine technical explanation for the distinction, it deserves to be heard. If there isn't, the silence will be interpreted accordingly. What Matt Armstrong actually built here, before Ferrari stopped him finishing it, was proof of concept. Not just for this specific car, but for what independent builders can achieve when manufacturers cooperate with them. The early stages of his 296 build demonstrated that a customer-led challenge conversion was feasible, desirable, and technically sound. Ferrari's own product announcement confirms all three. The question of whether they blocked him to protect their launch may never get a definitive answer. But it's a question that's now firmly on the record, attached to a timeline that's hard to explain away, and watched by an automotive community that's paying close attention to how manufacturers use their control over parts to shape what independent builders can and cannot do. Ferrari made the straddle. Matt inspired the conversation. Whether they'll ever acknowledge the connection is the only thing left to find out.